Welcome to the Sheffield Sunday As-Bill Season meeting. This is a main share meeting, and today is with great pleasure and with much gratitude we welcome Donna J. from Winter Park, Florida, who's come to share for about 40 minutes, after which there'll be a general sharing, and you can come in and ask a question. Thank you, Donna. It's wonderful to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So many friends in this meeting. I am an alcoholic, and my sobriety date is August 5th, 2000. And I not always, but usually start my share and what happened on that last day. I was surrendered. Something happened in me, through me, in spite of me. And it was the day that I was so exhausted. I was tired. I was tired of going to bed shaking, trying to figure out. And that's a new thing I started doing, actually shaking my head, right? I mean, I just want you to feel how I was feeling for many years. That became a part of my life, trying to figure out this hell that I was living in. My world was very dark. I felt very isolated. And something happened to me. It's as if my spirit blossomed, and the divine had more power than my thinking mind. And my mind, like my mind does, it doesn't let me see the truth. And I pretty much downplayed the fact that I was no longer obsessing over alcohol and drugs. I took it in stride, and it's just amazing how something that had me on my knees, how I was able to take it in stride, that it didn't have power over me anymore. So, in picking the reading, because when I picked the reading, that's how I felt in the moment when I picked the reading, and today's today. And the reading still applies today. And I noticed that I don't get nervous before I share, but what starts happening is a whole lifetime journey flashes across my thoughts. And I think that's healthy because we only have 40 minutes to talk about where we started from and where we are today to share on Bill's readings. And I realized I rather sit and think about my journey. And it doesn't mean that I'm thinking about what I'm going to share, but I can't help but acknowledge this life that I have lived, the life of pain and the life of freedom. I rather do that than sit in fear. I rather do that than sit in fear. So how do I get to a place that I'm willing to be one with God, that I'm willing to live my life knowing that I'm not walking alone? Well, it took a lot of curiosity. It took a lot of willingness. It took a lot of open-mindedness, and it took a lot of honesty. Like I said, I think what happened to me on August 1st, 2000 enabled me to hear. See, I couldn't hear before. And I know that a lot of you can identify with the first time that we heard ourself speak. It happened to me when I started to do step 4. I started to hear my thinking mind was in opposition to everything that I was trying to seek. And I couldn't believe what I had been relying on all my life. And thank God for the teachers that have been on this path before I was. Because, see, when I came in, I thought I was a great big such and much. And I realized I ain't no jack. And I sat around and I just did a lot of listening because I was intrigued. Who are these people? I felt like I had stepped into special AA. And I heard Chad share that. And I'm like, you're right, I sat at one of those tables too. I had Loretta on one end and I had Sydney on the other end, and I sat at that table with some people. We didn't know where we were heading, but we know we had been placed with some people that were leading us through this book in this life, leading us home. And I remember when I was told that I was going to rely on God as I went through this work, every time I put pen to paper, I was going to ask God to reveal truth. And I was willing to do that. It was the first time that I was willing to believe in this power that I never even thought that it was about believing. I just thought it was prayer and worship. And I started to be amazed at what was coming, what was being revealed. And I also started to hear me. It's too hard. I'm not good enough. Why bother? It's too hot. It's too cold. Get up, get some water. And I'm like, damn, in the midst of finding God, my mind wants to keep me separated. I remember I did a piece of work in codependency, and as I was in step 1 and I was trying to see why I was so obsessing, why I've got dental work, so I feel like my S's sound like snakes right now. But I remember I was doing step 1, and I'm really willing to go to any length again, and my mind kept wanting me to worry about where he's at, what he's doing. I remember I dropped the pen. I said, in the midst of seeking God, my mind won't shut up. But I kept at it because I kept having these experiences that I didn't expect to have that kept me on this path, that kept me willing. Now, trust and believe, I can't rely on yesterday's experience. That's like eating yesterday's ham sandwich. Once I eat the sandwich, it's done. But each experience gave me the willingness to continue. And I remember I was having these experiences, and Loretta was so, I thought she didn't like me, right? Because she never really like souped me up. Like I was having these God moments, and she was just very matter of fact. But I get it today because I didn't want to rely on her opinion about my experiences, because then I do what I always do. I believe what's going on based on your belief or your acknowledgement or your approval. And so I went through this having these experiences, and I mean, I shared it with people, but I wasn't getting validation. And I realized I didn't want anything that my ego can hold on to and start thinking that it was all about it. And so I get to this place that all of a sudden now I'm able to read, and I have the and I always say privilege when I can meet people on this path that are willing to do the deal. With 2 fellows, one is my sponsee, and we read this book, and all of a sudden, like, I'm awakened to the words on the page. And I can understand, and it doesn't frighten me anymore to realize that the I is not my mind. I remember the first time this man said to me, Donna, no matter what I do, it's not going to be enough. And I was convinced that I needed him to make me be happy, for me to be okay. And I never wanted to hear anything differently. And it's the same thing about things of spirit. I didn't want to believe that I was not enough. It was too uncomfortable to believe that there was this power that had more power over me. But now I can lean into that and thank God that there is a power that I don't have to figure life out. I've gotten to a point that whenever I can hear the tinge, and thank God for Loretta giving me that word, the tinge, when I can feel the tinge of some old belief. And when I say old, I mean I've had it for a number of years. I remember the first time I did inventory when I asked God to reveal to me what was blocking me from God, and kindergarten came on the paper. And I'm like, what the hell is kindergarten doing on this paper? And I'm 45 years old, and I got an opportunity to see, man, I worried about what you thought about me from when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. I realized I was pissed if you did something to me that I didn't want to do since I've been in kindergarten. So thank you, God, for letting me see these beliefs that I have as an adult have been a part of me as a human being all my life. And so that's what I mean when I feel the tinge of some old ass belief that makes me feel like I got to be in control. I got to be afraid. I got to judge. I got to worry. Feel it. And I pause in it. See, my mind is so undisciplined, it would take me down every rabbit hole it wanted me to take it down, and I followed it. But see, that's not my God anymore. As the divine grows, self starts disappearing. And I realize that I'm not serving two masters today. The God is spirit. Am I willing to believe and say it out loud and not feel like, oh my God, it's going to creep some people out, but to say that it's God living life in and through me and I'm just a vessel? So I fractured my foot last weekend. See, this is why I have to stop thinking I can think. Because did you think I didn't know I was going to fracture my foot? I'm going to New York next week and I'm going to LA in 2 weeks. Trust and believe I wasn't planning on wearing this boot. This boot is interfering with my wardrobe. But here it is. So I just have to go with the flow of life. And the thing is that every time I think I need to know. But what do I think I need to know? And if I think I need to know, there's no way that I can be right here, right now. I remember when I first heard Rashid say right here, right now, I was a parrot. I really was a parrot. I would say right here, right now, right here, right now. I had no idea what that meant. I wasn't even experiencing it. I read Power of Now. I read all the books, but I was just reading all the books in the beginning. I hadn't had enough experience with self because it's hard for me to believe in God and still me relying on my thinking, because really all I'm doing is I'm just believing it. It sounds nifty. Sounds like a cool idea. But it wasn't until I started having these experiences, I started to see from a different set of eyes. I remember Mary Thayer said, when we can watch ourselves, watching ourselves, we're watching with God. It's like these out-of-body experiences. And I'm in this new chapter of life. I don't know what to expect now that my runway is getting shorter. There's a whole lot of things from what I see in other people that are aging. A whole lot of things start happening. Our body starts shifting and getting older. But can I go in the flow of that? Can I make the best of my life? I just found out that two dear friends of mine that didn't want to admit, they admitted they had a problem, but they weren't willing to do anything about it. Our friend Bill Martin, I knew Bill for years. We used to call him Bill Martini because he drank so much. Just found out he passed away. I knew he was dying and accepted it. See, some people go straight home. Another friend of mine, oh my God, I dated this man and he used to pick me up at after hours. He knew where to find me. I'd be sitting in some after hours in Manhattan. Curtis was so proud of me. So proud that I escaped. See, that's what people, when they look at us, they know that we escaped because they saw the hell we were living in. We're trying to make sense of the hell. I was in the hell and was acting like that was my life, living in hell, living in after hours, no money every time I left in after hours, no freaking money, going to bed like this. I told you I was going to bed like this. Curtis is in hospice and he's like 80 pounds and he didn't want to admit that he had a problem with alcohol. So two of my buddies are going straight home. Was that their divine? Maybe it was meant that they go straight home, but for us, why are we here? I always say in step 2, am I willing to believe that there's a power greater than myself that can take me beyond where I am, past every experience I've had, bring me realms of peace, joy, and happiness that I can't even imagine? And when I was presented with that proposition, I said, yes, I'm willing to believe it. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I always was like, yeah, I believe it. Didn't know when I came in that this was going to be a relationship with God deeper than most human beings experience, even that go to church. I had no idea. I remember I said that to Rashid after I finished my 5th step with him. It was such a powerful experience, the first time I ever wept. And I remember I heard him say, "You're rendered speechless." He saw something happening to me. And he got up and he was rubbing my shoulders. And when I finished, I said to him, I had no idea. And that's the thing. We think we can think, but we have no idea. I don't even have any idea. I know I picked number 78 to share today about the consciousness of God, but I don't know where I'm going. I do wish that I was in person with you all. The best that I can do is look at the light on my camera, and that represents me looking at you, because I had an opportunity to be in person, and it felt so beautiful to scan the room. To scan the room and connect spirit to spirit. See, because I know that there's nothing separating from me. Nothing separating me from you and you from me. And one of my teachers, I talk about Rashid a lot. I remember he said, Donna, if you're ever in a meeting and you're sitting at a table and there's a mic, he said, you get up and you stand in front of that table, because there's nothing separating you from people. And he's right. And it's interesting for those of you that had the opportunity to share in person. You ever notice that you can see that one person or those two people that you're connecting with? There was this young man I shared at a meeting, and he was way in the back. I saw him. And when he came up to thank me, I put my hand on my heart and I put my other hand on his heart. And I said, I saw you. This is the kind of deal that happens if I'm willing to start my day in acknowledging the power within and go through life. My life is no different than yours. I have financial questions. I have financial insecurities, especially now that I'm a senior citizen. One of my regrets, I should have managed my money better. But guess what? God always provides. Always provides. It's crazy. I'm 70 years old and I got 3 projects I'm working on. Okay, maybe perhaps God is using me to tell all of you that think you're too old. It's a lie. You're never too old. Maybe that's what God uses me for, to tell you. See, we don't know how we're going to inspire, but I think that's what our responsibility is. That's why step 6 is so powerful. Like, let me take that from you. Why are you holding on to those defects? It's like holding on to heavy bags. You keep dropping it. You keep stopping because it's so heavy. I'm making so heavy going in life. God's like, look, come on now. Give me those things. You were able to see them. See, when people used to tell me about me, I used to think they were just jealous. Or they were just being whatever. I couldn't see me. You know, I've been using this, that like one finger pointed this way and 4 pointing back. See, the 4 pointing back ain't really pointing at me because the 4 tucked in, but they really pointing back. This one I can see pointing at you because it's a finger pointing straight at you. See, I always saw you. I couldn't see me because it wasn't clear. But it was clear when I did inventory, and God's like, okay, so now you see what's been holding you back, not the people. Get off the people, Donna. It's not the people, it's you. But we have an opportunity to be free. So yes, God, please take my beliefs, take my thinking. Because that's what I'm doing in step 3. God, I'm transferring over my thinking, my selfish thinking, my self-centered thinking, my actions to life, my reactions to life. And show me how to be. And then I get to see what I'm so afraid of. And really, I think I'm angry, but really, I'm really afraid because I'm angry because things are not going my way, so it makes me more fearful. Because I believe that everything outside has to be okay. And I realized, wait a minute, Don, it's not that these people wouldn't be there for you. They couldn't. Big difference. You change that W to a C, all of a sudden it's a totally different perspective. And I think that's what happens when we go through this work. Our whole perspective shifts. And I get to see, well, wait a minute, why am I making so heavy going of life? Because I still think I can think. I still think I know what I need. I still think I know what you need. I think I know what to expect. There's so many things that in the moment give me hope. And I was always raised, wait until the check's in the mail, right? Like, don't be too hopeful because it might not happen. So I grew up not being hopeful. I grew up thinking that the only way that I can be okay is everything had to be a surety. I didn't realize how much I was missing out. Hope is so invigorating. Hope is so, it's wonderful. And half the time, the things that I'm hopeful for don't even turn out. But at the end of the day, I realized that it didn't even matter if the thing worked out or not. It was the hope that got me up, that got me calling you, excited. Oh my God, whatever. So throughout the day, see, that's the part. We start the day, we'll end the day, but what's happening in between the day? My ego, man, this thing, it doesn't care if I see it. It loses its power when I start shedding light on it. That's why step 10 is so important to share with people. We're not this. It's very easy to share all the good things. And if we're not careful, we don't realize that it's still approval. I want you to see how fabulous I am. I've always wanted to see how fabulous I am. And if you brought up something that was a little negative, like it says it in the actor, remember I'm sure other people are to blame. I may be someone at fault, but I'm sure other people are to blame. Like all my life, I would admit, yeah, well, I did this, but I would always circle back to what you did. And I got to be careful that I just don't live my life on all the fabulous things and hide the things that are troubling, because it's still me believing that I need your approval, because my entire life it was all about what you thought about me. And got mad if you didn't put me in high esteem. And it's crazy because I'm expecting you to live your life and also have time to worry about me. I mean, that's asking a lot for a human being, unless they're your parents. And even our parents are so bogged down with their own life. I was able to come to a place of forgiveness with my mom because I just saw her as the stage character of a child, that her role was to be my parent. And I couldn't see her, that my mom had so many challenges that it was very hard for her to just strictly be my parent. And here it is, I'm in my 40s and I still want my mom to be my parent. I'm still looking at her from the stage character of a child. And it wasn't until I did this work that I was able to look at my mom from the perception of another woman who's had challenges in relationships. See, but I took the easy way. I left my husband. My mom stayed. She stayed because of me and my sister, and was very unhappy, but stayed. I couldn't see that because I was looking at her as a child. Are you willing to do the deal? Because all these kinds of things start happening. We start experiencing. That's why before every share, I mean, I got like 25 years in AA of going down this path, and sometimes being on a very straight spiritual path, 10 and 11, 10 and 11, 10 and 11, 10 and 11. And I have times that I wasn't 10 and 11, 10 and 11. And I had an experience with that. All of a sudden, man, the word self jumped in front of every other word. Self-centered, self-interest, self-absorbed. And I felt it. Had one sponsee because I was living life back in the world again. Not being in the world, I was in the world, not of the world. It was about my job. It was about the gym. It was about money. And I suffered. And I remember I went to a meeting. I'm like, oh no, I saw what was happening. And I remember I shared in a meeting, and I don't know what the hell I shared, but after I finished sharing, I was shaking. I sat down, I was shaking. I was like, what the heck just happened, God? Somebody asked me to share their anniversary. I didn't know this guy, but whatever I shared, he wanted me to share his anniversary. And then I just started going to meetings. And the next thing I knew, I got 9 people sitting around my dining room table, taking them through the book. And I remember I looked up and said, okay, God, I get it. And it's been like that ever since. So I had to have some experiences in step 1, time and time again. Thinking I can think, and all of a sudden, wait, the whole trajectory of my life starts shifting. I don't like living in fear, in doubt, and worry on a regular. And then God, in his infinite way, sometimes I walk smack dab into the behavior. I can feel the tinge, but for some reason, I'm not guided to pause. I go right in it. But the beautiful thing is that I'm so awake when I'm in it. I actually feel what anger feels like. I feel it in me when I'm angry, and I feel how it hurts another human being. I never used to feel that before. When I was angry, I thought I had every right to be angry. And I remember when I was in this relationship, man, I remember anger. I got high. All of a sudden, the anger took hold of me. And there was spit coming out of my mouth. And this man had to put my arm up to shut me up. He put my arm up behind my back. And in that moment, I knew if I kept it up, I was going to die. And I just went limp. And that was my cue to let this, because he never hit me. And it was my cue to let him know I'm done. So I have experience of how anger can be just as powerful of an aphrodisiac. So how is it that we worry about what we're going to share? There's no way. There's no way. There's a song, Ain't No Way. Ain't no way. There's no way I'm going to know what I'm supposed to share with you guys. All I know is this deal with God is real. If we're willing to go to any length, see, the passage gets real narrow. And I don't even think we even know which ones of us are willing to keep going down the narrow path, and some of us that are just willing to live a comfortable life. Okay with being healthy, having some abundance, and life is fine. I didn't expect. There was a lot of people sitting around that special AA table with me. I don't know where they are, but I'm so grateful for them. When I celebrated my 25-year anniversary, I remember I woke up. What's different today? What was different between the last day of 24 years and the first day of 25? And what I did, I went back and I just scanned all the spirits in the fellowship. And they've changed. The spirit is the same. The people are different. The same people I walked with, I'm not walking with today, but I'm still walking with people. The same spirit, just different people. And the people that I had a chance to help along the way, and my relationships with the world, how that's changed. So when it came time for my anniversary, I didn't really need you guys to acknowledge it. Now, if I didn't have the 25 years that I had, I probably needed you guys to suit me up. Oh, 25 years, yeah. But see, I didn't need that because I felt it. I felt what that meant. I didn't expect to even speak like I don't know. Even when I'm sharing lately, like I don't even know. Like I don't know. I do know, but I don't know. A meeting like this is interesting. This meeting and Ali's Tuesday night meeting where you have to pick a pass is like what do you pick? I don't know how many stories are in As Bill Sees It, but how do you pick? And so I didn't belabor. I just kind of, okay, so what is my process, right? Because I talk about how I don't know, but then I show up like I know. I knew that I wanted something that had to deal with relationship with God. And then the mind wants to be concerned about what other people picked. Like there's a way I'm going to know that. This meeting is 365 days. So I knew that was like it was no sense going down that rabbit hole of, well, what do other people pick? But see, I used to think like that. I probably would have called Young. Hey, Young, what hasn't anybody chose so I can like choose something different? And so I picked what I picked. But how do I talk about God? How do I talk about this oneness with God? What's powerful, even in the quiet, like it feels comfortable being in the quiet. But I know I can't sit here in the quiet because I'm expected to share in the meeting. The beautiful thing I love about being on this path with new friends is to watch their transformation. And it's a beautiful thing to watch when people are on this side of step 4 while they're going through step 4, when they're on the other side of 4. And it's a beautiful thing to experience because we know that we don't have anything to do with it. We were just willing to, keep moving. I think step 5 is probably one of the most powerful steps that we can take with another human being because we lived our lives thinking that we were disconnected from other human beings, but that all changes in 5. For those of us that were so concerned about God and who God is and what God does, we spend this time with God. And then we spend this hour after the 5th step with God. And all this with another human being and with God and build with me, that we're forming relationships. But before we form the relationship, there's so much that we think we need to know. That word with is pretty powerful. That's why sometimes this big book is a word by word exercise. With in itself, I've never, with even we, I lived my life and I don't know where I read this, but I've been using this a lot lately. I lived my entire life, like for those of us that remember what it's like when you had plastic on the furniture. I don't know if you had parents that wanted to protect the furniture, so they put the plastic on the furniture. I'm sitting on the furniture, but I'm not really sitting on the furniture. There's something between me and the furniture. That's how I lived my life with you. I'm connected, but there's something between me and you. There's plastic. But we come in here and we're not sitting between the plastic. We're shoulder to shoulder. feet planted, going in the same direction. And even the shoulder to shoulder and people with time, I think time just means that we've got more experiences, but I can't be way down the path and be here in the moment with you. I've got to be shoulder to shoulder. Because if I think 25 years gives me this head start that I'm way down the path, how am I going to see you? I can't see you if I'm way down there. I got to be right here with you, but my experiences is what I share. And who knew that we would be charged with such a powerful opportunity to be a blessing to people? We even demonstrate to people that watched us when we were in all that pain. They get to see God at work. That's why step 9 is so powerful. We're so worried about going back to people, but we're missing the point. We get to go back to people transformed. We can't even see that in itself is powerful, but I'm worried about it's always what you're going to say, what you're going to think. Instead of, Donna, what are they going to see in you? And even the people that don't want to see me, I get an opportunity to look at myself and say, damn, I'm not this great big such and much. These people don't even want to see me. Whatever way, that's going to crush my ego. And I want my ego crushed as much as it is because it's not even real. I've created the self to be the separate entity, separate from God, separate from you. And it's got this whole little kingdom, but it's not getting sourced from within. It's not getting love. Love doesn't come from my ego. It's not, how's my hand up? But I didn't see any of this. I'm so grateful that I didn't balk a lot. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. I didn't loiter a lot. And when I did loiter, I felt so uncomfortable. Like I knew I had to keep going. I think sometimes spirit is leading us and saying, no, come on, you got purpose. There's something for you to start doing. You need to be of service. God wants to use you. And I really believe that we become God in human form. I said it. See, sometimes I'm afraid to say it. But I really think that's what happens. We become God in human form, and He uses us. He speaks to us. He loves to us. Oh my goodness, He has empathy to us. And all I got to do is go in the hair and makeup, do my hair, do my makeup, and show up. And spend time with Him and spend time with His children. And listen. That's one of the things I'm learning to do is to listen more. I don't have to be the great big such and much. If I'm with some people, I can let them do their thing. I don't have to insert myself all the time. Well, I got 2 minutes. So I want to thank you guys for being in this Zoom meeting with me. I always can feel spirit. I've done 5th steps and felt, oh my goodness, I have to end with this. So Young and John, Corboard. We meet every Wednesday. Well, not every Wednesday when we can. And I remember a few times we're reading something and all of a sudden all 3 of us get still. It's like the spirit just renders all 3 of us silent. It's the most amazing thing. And I remember the only way to end it, I just said the serenity prayer and we just ended the call. So even on Zoom, spirit to spirit, we can feel each other. We really can. But you got to be willing. You got to be willing to continue down that path because all I can do, hopefully, I'm encouraging you to keep on going. hopefully I am your Rashid. Thank you.
Oh, Donna, the script says short share back from host, and let me stop this.